Welcome to Shoot the Breeze, a series on a podcast that celebrates the messiness of life, relationships, and Christianity, featuring my wife Lacey and myself, Nathan. It's creatively titled because it will be just us shooting the breeze, sometimes with guests, while occasionally saying something important. We hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to Shoot the Breeze. My name's Nathan.
I'm Lacey.
And we are married.
Yes. I'm glad you remembered that.
Sometimes I have to remind myself.
Exactly. I have to write it on the mirror for him.
Yeah.
Have a whole picture collage when he wakes up.
What is it? 51st date?
Exactly. Yeah. See what I mean?
Okay. Want to quick push. Feel free to shoot us an email, respond to the podcast on our website. Let us know if you have any questions for us, whether it's could be my disease, cystic fibrosis, or in general, how do you deal with sickness? Homeschooling. We were actually just having a lively discussion about homeschooling.
Yeah. It's been an interesting year with the homeschool world.
Right.
I was actually homeschooled growing up from 4th grade on. I graduated through homeschool. And so it is something that has been in my life for a long time. And when we first became parents, we decided that as our kids became school age, we were going to make a decision every year what we wanted to do and what would benefit them the most. And so,
per child per year.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't just want to blanket decide. And so when our first daughter went to kindergarten and it was an absolute disaster, we ended up bringing her home and I homeschooled her for 3 years. And then my other daughter, when she went to school, she loved it. She's a social butterfly. She just thrived in a super structured, predictable environment where all of her friends were. And so that side of it was really great for her. There was definite social issues as well.
Yeah, I was going to say she would often come home with so much anxiety and so much stress, right?
Right. And when she was a little bit younger, it wasn't as obvious that it was anxiety.
Right.
I think as she got older, that became more obvious. But I homeschooled our eldest and until we moved. And when we moved, I actually had gotten to a point with her that, and those of you that are at homeschool know what I'm talking about, I was not able to wear the two hats of the teacher and the mom. I was definitely spending most of my day arguing. And so the poor child did not realize what she had is what happened. And I said to her all year long, I said, listen, you need to change your tune or you're going back to school. And she really called my bluff, or what she thought was my bluff. She really thought it was a bluff. It was not a bluff, because when we moved, I had it. And one of the big issues is she's needed some educational intervention for all of her school years. And I had been providing outside sources for her and still homeschooling. And when we moved, I just was so overwhelmed by it. I just said, with her attitude and with, the needs there, we're just going to put her in school. So what was a week before school started?
Yeah. Well, we were doing our meet the teacher.
Yes.
And everything was hunky dory. Woo, yay, meet the teacher. And she was still kind of putting on this
attitude. It wasn't going to happen.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Well, then we go to drop her off for the first time.
It was after she met the teacher and she had to stand there in the school and look around. And and then she started to panic. This is happening. And so then she spent the next week panicking. But she did. She went back to school for 3 years. Yep. And, pluses and minuses, it definitely was it had benefits and it had downsides, but things got increasingly worse with our youngest. Yeah. As far as, I felt like her teacher, my youngest teacher in, was it third grade? No, second grade. Second grade. She had my phone number and she just texts me every day. Literally, I'm not even joking. Text me every day and kind of have this download of what happened that day. It was like she needed to process it
I was
a
gonna
little
say
bit.
a little like text or verbal
And
processing. Yeah.
believe me, I know my child is intense. I know that. But it was like I had to talk her off a ledge so much. And it was a crazy year. And so then when the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
we thought, you know what, I think it was in March we got locked down. And we just said, we know how to homeschool. We're going to go ahead and just do it the rest of the year. And as we were doing it, we were just looking at our girls and how they were responding to it. And it was very positive. I never thought my youngest could be homeschooled because she has such intense social needs.
Yeah.
And I'm not like her, so I struggle to meet those needs actually, and to keep her like engaged enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I spent most of my high school years just in my room reading, so I'm not.
Well, I was gonna say you were also kind of self-willed, but kind of forced into self-educating as well. And so a lot.
Yeah,
of
I think that was way I very much part of my homeschool was me just reading.
Right.
Anyway, so when I brought her home, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to meet those needs, and so we have been, homeschooling since March again, and wow.
Yeah, weird. I was gonna say, have you ever had one of those days as a parent, and maybe even as a homeschool parent, but I'll broaden it, parent in general, where you wake up and you feel like you were hit with a tsunami, and the rest of the day is you not drowning. I feel like maybe that's today, and so Lacey and I, this is more of a small group for us. It's
support group.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is mine and Lacey's time to decompress from the day. So if there's gonna be things that are said, listen, it's us decompressing, and you get to be the beneficiary of that.
Right. Yes. And I mean, most days I appreciate homeschooling, but it is definitely, you have to fight for it a lot.
And as we're fighting for homeschooling, it's not just it's not just the practical or the general subjects of schooling that I think we're fighting for, teaching our kids math and reading, but
which we fight for. Oh my gosh, I fight for that. Oh my gosh.
Right. But we're also fighting for, this is going to sound way over dramatic, but we're fighting for the souls of our girls. We're fighting for their mental health. We're fighting for so much more than just, we want to homeschool them so we know what they're being taught. We also want to homeschool them so they're raised in an atmosphere that is spirit-led, and that is, I think, maybe relationship-focused. Anyway, so it's more than, like, if you're homeschooling, man, keep up the good fight. You're fighting more, like I said, you're fighting for more than just their mental education. You're fighting for...
Right, and that is something we realized as a family that was wrapped up in why we were supposed to do it this way.
Right.
And also to those of you out there that are doing the distance learning, I just want to encourage you that distance learning is really rough, and that if you want to try to straight up homeschool, it might actually be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I don't know if I honestly, no, I know I can't do distance learning. I actually wrote the school and was like, I'm not doing distance learning. I'm homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because just everybody's schedule, trying to keep that online, trying to keep a kid engaged with kids with multiple learning styles engaged with just a screen all day. It's really hard. So my hat is off to you, and don't judge homeschooling too harshly until you've seen kind of the delightful side of it, because with all the hard days like the one I'm experiencing, there is such joyful days. Like yesterday I was doing math with Ari, and she realized that she knew the answer to something, but she didn't think she did. But she's just like screaming like, yes, yes. And just, stuff that you do have wins. It's not always
losses. And I think that's the big thing, we were actually just talking before we started recording, just how much homeschooling is is and is going to be such a need to educate our children in a way that is, I don't mean this as like pick themselves up by the bootstraps. I actually hate that phrase or in what it means, but I think to be independent and to be people who can think, people who can reason, people who can come to conclusions, ask questions. And so it's so much more than just your 4 basic, reading, writing, I don't know, geography, math. All of the subjects that are taught. Science, I like science. Science is what I teach my girls.
I do most of the teaching in case you're concerned right now.
Guys, don't worry.
Honey.
No, you're good.
Throwing you under the bus.
No, Lacey's like the main, honestly, like after the day I had, it was funny. The other day I actually just did a post on this where like I had to lay my head on the table for a few minutes to like breathe. And guys, I'd only taught them 45 minutes science, a subject I love. Lacey, hours upon hours of teaching subjects she doesn't even have interest in. So my hats are off, like my hat, all of the hats.
I'll take all your hats. Yeah.
All my hats are off to you.
Well, thanks, hon. No, we were... this is the part, kind of that we started the podcast and our conversation, getting back to it, was I was talking about how I feel like I've been reading this narrative in the news of how it's kind of dueling. One side is everybody hates homeschooling. They're so sick and tired of it. They just think schooling their children is terrible. The other side is people have been horrified to get their kids home and realize what has been or hasn't been taught. And really, like some of these things coming out, like parents can't observe the kids' distance learning classes. All of these things are creating outrage, and people are really demanding some answers from the school. And so, you have these two dueling stories, and gosh, I don't want to go too far into this, but just to say, I feel like there is some narrative control right now in the news. I mean, as evidenced by the censorship, but I feel honestly, and time will tell, that what is going to happen is there is going to be a lot of people that are going to keep their kids out of school actually and find that homeschooling is a good fit for their family, or want to actually, if they can't make it happen now, move in the direction of making it feasible to homeschool. Yeah. And it makes me wonder what the pushback on homeschooling will be after all this is said and done. And
even to kind of give some history to it, you were homeschooled in a state that it was illegal to homeschool.
Right. And so that's something really interesting. So when I was pulled out of school, my parents pulled me out of school. We lived in Michigan at the time. And federally, it was legal to homeschool, but statewide, it was illegal. Michigan was one of the hardest states to homeschool at that time. And I remember my parents had signed up for a membership with Homeschool Legal Defense. And that was a needed deal that you would have, that they took comfort in knowing that if they were prosecuted, if the police came to remove us from the home, that they would be able to call a lawyer and get help, because that was happening. It was happening to just people across the U.S. at the time we live in a very homeschool friendly environment now, but at that time it wasn't. And so we were actually trained as kids, like what our rights were, if authorities came to the door, what to say. I remember that we really didn't go out with my mom during the day, even if we were done with school, because we'd get questioned. And those of you homeschool parents, you know what it's like, because that still happens. You bring your kids out in public and people find out you're homeschooling and they decide it's their job to quiz the kids. And someone did that to Lyd the other day and they're like, "What grade are you in?" And Lydia looked at me and
I remember this, yeah.
And then I think at one point they first asked her name and she was a little unsure about that even, so it's just really funny, these like pop quizzes. So we didn't really go outside much in our yard, right? But not to the stores or whatever, because we get quizzed. And there was a very real fear that my parents could lose their children because of their desire to homeschool us. And
right.
So now, we're pretty far from that. If you're legitimately homeschooling, like you're legitimately teaching your kids, it's pretty easy to get help for that or proof for that, you know, if you need it. Or even we moved from a state, and we moved from Alaska. I mean, Alaska is one of the most homeschooling friendly states there is.
They actually pay, what is it? There's a stipend.
You can, so if you enroll with them, not all people do, but you can enroll with one of the schools, quotation marks, that allows you to homeschool, and you just work with them as far as you do have a little bit of curriculum submitted. So it's nothing terrible, but you're also able to use your stipend for extracurricular stuff. You're able to take classes with the school if you wanted. Like I had Lydia in with a reading tutor for a while in the school. I know my sister took choir when she was in high school there. And so it's a really, I think it's really neat, the setup they have. And the reason why Alaska has this great setup is because there's a lot of people that live in the state that don't have access to school. And so that allows them the opportunity to still take advantage of the system. I mean, that itself is a whole podcast, whether or not people would want to.
Right.
I have a good friend who would vehemently disagree with partnering with the school about anything. But for us, it worked really well. And with a kid who has some learning issues, I liked having some people to weigh in and get me directed with that, because then you just don't feel so alone in it.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is one of the many resources we make available for free at our website, cultivaterelationships.com. Our resources have helped people grow in their relationship with God and others. We've seen people set free from uncontrollable anger and paralyzing fear. We've witnessed estranged family members be reunited after working through our freedom booklet. We've helped people build healthy relationship and coping habits through our coaching videos. And all of these resources are made available for free because of the generous support of people like you. If you would like to become a partner, please visit cultivaterelationships.com/support. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. We didn't go into homeschooling our girls because we really wanted to and we felt gifted. In fact, quite the opposite. Lacey did not want to homeschool for that reason. She wanted to focus on the ministry. She wanted to focus on things, you know, that
I felt good at.
That you felt good at, that you felt
that were encouraging.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the statements Lacey's made over the last probably 3 to 6 months in homeschooling is the amount of joy that it has been bringing her. Again, you have the horrible days, okay? I'm not saying everything is
always
amazing with us, but the shocking joy that you have in homeschooling, and I think maybe that's one of the, encouragements I personally want to offer is if you feel like, man, your world is already crazy, adding homeschool to it is going to make it even more crazy. And I mean like legit homeschool, okay? You may be shocked. You may be shocked at the piece that how it anchors your family. And I think that's maybe something we've recognized is how much it has anchored our family. And a lot of the things there's a lot of things that we've had to give up and I mean, maybe things that we viewed as success or definitions of success, we have had to release those. We have had to release things that were important to us or we viewed as important. But over the last year, we're recognizing what it's doing to our family.
Right. And I think along with that, after Lyd went back to school, my eldest, after we kind of had that, toe-to-toe a showdown and mom won and sent her back, I was so over it. Over it. Done. And the thought of going back into it, the thought of not just the fighting, right, but the feeling just so inadequate to the learning needs. I just felt really inadequate, and I didn't want to do her a disservice. Yeah. And that was one of my main concerns. And, you know, my friends, after I'm telling them all this story, you know, as we're dealing with my youngest school, social things and stuff, you know, stuff that would blow your mind, people, if I could tell you the stories. And they're like, Lacey, why don't you just homeschool again? And I would push back and push back. I'm not going back to that. I'm not going back to that. And really, after, I mean, I would tell people it took a pandemic. It took a worldwide pandemic to get me homeschooling again. That's how much I wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. And the Lord was like, fine, I can work with that. And
boom, pandemic.
Right. And not to say that all this suffering is just for me. I mean, don't misuse my words, but he used it to turn my heart. And once it was turned and I was able to kind of like listen, and I knew that this was a direction we were heading. This was kind of a specific direction that, you know, we weren't just going to do for the duration of the pandemic but we're pretty committed to. And I say pretty because I was going to give myself a way out. But anyway,
folks, we're committed.
Yeah. Okay? Anyway, but
no backing out.
I do have a joy in it now. I have a joy in it that I didn't think was possible. So.
Okay. Well. So if you guys have any questions about, you know, homeschooling,
I have some great friends that you can call.
They'll be able to answer those questions. Oh, one thing I do want to say is all of the communities we've lived in, there has been a homeschool like support group. And I don't mean support group where you like talk to each other. Literally, like ours. I know. Well, you guys do. No, ours is like they go to the park and the kids, you know, run around in packs and in the.
Well, I mean, the homeschool support group thing isn't new. I was involved one.
No, that's what I'm saying. So people who are
to make fun of it.
People who are brand new to homeschooling.
Right. Like we had homeschool roller skate. Do you remember the stories I tell you about that?
Oh, guys.
Like my own. I see that needs to be its own thing. Just talking about my homeschool days. It's definitely wild denim days.
I'll put that on the podcast for next time. Anyways, we would love to get your feedback, get some of your responses.
Yeah, so tell us if you've started homeschooling recently, if your kids are distance learning and you're interested in switching to homeschooling, we'd love to hear about it and where you're at with all that and what you're seeing from your kids having them home more. What was that like or is that like depending on where you are at with that. But it's definitely a eye-opening discussion that we've been having as a country with all of this. So
So with that, speaking of fact-checking, Lacey has a fact check.
So the rules of the fact check are I give Nathan a story, and he has 3 questions to clarify the story, and then he has to guess if it's true or false. So my story is about a man who simply just lost millions of dollars. Just gone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Like not lost in gambling or like a bad investment, like literally lost.
Okay, I'm going to interject with something real quick.
Yeah.
The other day, a family bought a couch here near Austin, a used couch. Okay. And they brought it home. It was super uncomfortable. Like they would sit on it and there's all these.
Are you telling a story I told you?
No.
Oh, this is a new one?
No, I heard it on the radio.
Oh, okay.
No, and one of the kids, like he was like.
They found money in it, didn't they?
$34,000.
Oh my gosh. See, okay, I keep hearing about these couches with cash.
Hold on. Guess what they did?
They brought it back.
Why?
Because they're decent people. It's some grandpa's like inheritance. That's what it was.
That's
exactly. I know.
Yeah.
I understand because I just heard a similar story up in like Okemos in Michigan. $40,000 in a couch, which I was telling my sister because we're both really
frugal. Thrifty.
Well, I was going to say we're very thrifty. We love thrifting. And I've never found a couch with $40,000. I feel like I should have by now because of how much thrifting I do.
Yeah, but we don't buy we've not
I don't buy a
thrifted
lot
our
of furniture.
couches. Yeah, we usually.
I don't like buying
Yeah.
thrifted things with fabric very much.
Well,
like
there's
not fabric, like clothes that I can wash, but like something I can't throw in my washer.
Well, there's your problem. That's why we
I
haven't
can't throw a
found.
couch in my washer.
No. Okay, sorry. Back to your fact
I just
check.
need to start like checking out the couches for cash. Hello.
Seriously. Hey, if you guys are thrifty, what I highly recommend you do is go into thrift stores and unzip their cushions, and then buy the couch. And don't return the money. Who returns the money?
Because they're not okay. This is a agree to disagree. I feel like because you gotta know, like you don't just find that much money and not try to figure out whose it is.
Why? It's yours. You bought the couch.
And obviously there was a mistake made.
I feel like there's actually.
What if it was your $40,000?
First of all, I would double check the couch cushions before I gave it away.
No, listen, this is what happened. So Grandpa went through the depression. He doesn't trust banks. He shoves his money in a couch. Grandpa
Yep.
dies. He doesn't tell anybody.
Well, that's unfortunate.
This actually came up during my I had my grandparents like all die really close to each other this last year. But during one of the times we were getting together, we were talking about that, about how older people that make sure you check their possessions for money because there's like lots of times there's money hidden all over. And so all these stories came out, and the one to me that was just so funny was that this person had this collection of books, like this huge collection of books, which I can really relate to because I love books. I have a bunch of them. But they just were like real annoyed by the books. So they just started donating them. And they donated over half of them. And finally someone thought to look through one of the books. And as they're looking through the books, they're finding all of this cash. And so they went through just a few books and found, I don't know, like $500. And so they realized what they have done.
Here's what we would like you to do. Click the respond button on the podcast page on our website. Click the respond button and let us know. Would you side with me, who would take advantage of the blessing that has been bestowed upon them?
Come on. Okay.
Or
no, I
would
think
you
that-
side with Lacey, who would not take advantage of the blessing that was bestowed upon them?
within a certain amount. Like, so I bought a book from a thrift store. No, I bought a book from a thrift store not too long ago, and there's $1 in it. It was really sad because it looked like a birthday present, like a little sticker book, and someone had stuck $1. $2. There was $2.
Here's the thing. No, the amount.
So I didn't return that. It's only $2.
Why? Why not?
It's only $2.
No, why not though? You're saying based on principle, you would return something because the
Because
owner
people can
needs to know.
sleep at night if they've lost $2. They're not going to sleep very well if they lost 40 grand.
They didn't lose it. The grandpa forgot. He didn't even know he had it.
Okay,
He
another
has
story.
dementia.
Okay, another story told at the funeral was this old guy who was dying. He goes to die, or right before he dies, he whispers to his, not even his kids, but his daughter-in-law, whispers that for his entire working life at payday, he went down to the basement and stapled $100 bill on the rafters. Okay, so they go down there and they realize up in the rafters in the basement, I guess rafters is the wrong word. What would it be? Like the...
rafters isn't right.
in the
What would it
basement? The wood that's holding the floor up in the basement.
be? The joists.
There we go. There's all this money tacked to it. Maybe not 100. Maybe it was only like a 10. You know, these are how urban legends grow, you know? I'm just...
It was a million.
It's all hearsay. But anyway, the point still stands. They would have sold this house and would have all this money. So, okay, here's the moral of the story. Number one.
He told someone.
Go to estate sales. Look through all the things. When you buy a used couch, buy it lumpy. Don't put your money in your furniture. That's another moral of the story.
I think we've learned a lot today. Okay, back to your fact check.
Okay, so
sorry.
my fact check, yes.
Yeah.
So you need to ask your 3 clarifying
I forget
questions.
what it was.
The story is that this guy lost millions of dollars. Not lost gambling, not lost in an investment. He literally lost millions of dollars, and he cannot get it back.
Where did this happen?
I actually, I want to say Washington, but I'm not, I don't know if that's where the article was written or not. So ask me you can ask me a different question instead of that one because I'm not sure about the answer to that.
So I still get 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he lose it because of mental issues?
I mean,
Meaning like dementia?
No.
It's Alzheimer's or something like that?
No.
You said he didn't lose it gambling,
Nope.
but he lost it.
He lost
I feel like this is a riddle.
It's just gone.
I love riddles. Did he sell a couch recently?
He did not. Was that really one of your questions?
No. It was a, what do you call it, where you go back to a different conversation?
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so he possibly in Washington, not medical, nothing brain-wise, millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Millions.
Is it real money?
It is.
Okay. He wasn't like playing a game of Monopoly.
That's a good question.
I
think you've had 3. You've had 3.
Was it dealing with like a 401k stock? Because I also know that
I said it wasn't an investment.
it wasn't in an investment. Did you know, by the way, BTW, stocks like retirement 401ks, if they've been invested into social media, they're dropping horribly.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me clarify. I won't say anymore it was an investment. It wasn't a 401k. It wasn't a stock.
I think it's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. You got it.
Yep. Tell me. No, you have to tell me. Like, what in the
Okay,
world?
moving on. No, I've been reading this fascinating. It's a series, and I guess it's not, they're just reporting. Everybody's reporting, it seems like, on this guy, obviously, because it's very sensational, who has $220 million in Bitcoin.
Oh.
Did you see that article?
No.
And he...
Bitcoin fascinates me because I know nothing about it.
Bitcoin is super fascinating. My mind also cannot wrap itself around it. Like, I've watched so many things and read so many articles, and still my brain is just like, it can't compute the idea of Bitcoin. But here we are now, and it exists, and it's worth a lot of money. Right now, I think currently it's like almost $40,000 for one Bitcoin. So this guy has this Bitcoin, which is cryptocurrency. And so it's all, I mean, it's
Basically,
all...
it's internet currency, right?
It's internet currency,
Okay.
and it's not backed by anything. It's just a
Right.
log, okay? And to access it, he needs his password. And he had this really, intense password 10 years ago, and he threw out the piece of paper that he had it on. It's just gone.
No.
So, yeah. So
Is there not like a reset password button?
There's not, obviously, because it's like super secure. It's in this thing called an iron key that you have 10 tries to get into. And if you don't get into it, you're just...
You know what? I feel
You're
like people
locked out.
like you would be hosed. Like, on
Totally.
like your iPhone, you get locked out.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like, oh.
I know, but can you imagine? Okay, so he's tried 8 times now. So he only has 2 more tries. And so he basically just like locked it up in this vault, and he's like, I can't think about it anymore. It was really unhealthy for my life. And I need to move forward. And he basically, I think he made it sound like he has plenty of other money.
He's comfortable.
Yeah. But I mean, to think about that, to still be super comfortable after losing $220 million.
You just said nobody's comfortable losing $40,000. Apparently there are
that
people.
guy could, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Hey,
doesn't keep his money in a couch, though. He keeps it in a computer.
That's true. All the trash men are going back to the
now he's going to be keeping it in a couch for sure.
Exactly. Can't even trust himself.
I know, but so, yeah, he's basically like, I got to let it go because,
Wow.
I mean,
That's crazy.
at a certain point, you'd have to.
Yeah.
You'd have to, but
Yeah.
I don't know how you would. It'd be like losing a lotto ticket worth that much or something. Well, I guess. Yeah.
Nobody.
What?
You and Lotto, like.
Gosh.
Her and her sister have this
fascination with the lotto.
Fascination, obsession.
Okay, I don't play the lotto because I don't win, and I know that about myself, so I don't try. But it would be fun. Like, my sister and I always play that game, you know, like what you would buy. I mean, everybody does that,
here's
right?
the thing. They get so emotionally invested in it, and then it's like, what was it? One time when the lotto was like some billions of dollars or
it's
whatever
like
it was.
it's like 750 million right now.
Great.
Powerball
No,
is.
they literally talked themselves up, and so they bought tickets.
This is the one time in my life I bought a Powerball ticket. I feel like there's going to be a lot of judgment on me. I don't actually buy Powerball. I bought one ticket one time, and if you do, that's great. That's fun. I'll dream with you. But Nathan's like going to get me called out over one ticket here.
No, here's what happened,
making me
though.
sound like I buy them.
No, she doesn't.
I don't.
You should back away from the mic. You're like really up on
sorry. Too close.
Like, relax.
You relax.
Anyways, so they buy this ticket, and like for hours and hours, they're talking and dreaming about what they're going to do with it. And I'm like, guys, you're not going to win. Shockingly enough, they did they did the numbers, and they're devastated, like genuinely emotionally devastated.
Not
I'm like,
genuinely emotionally devastated.
You guys did this to yourself.
No,
I don't feel bad.
No, listen.
Anyways, moving on.
No, okay, so the other day, I didn't even tell you this. Lydia and I, we were online, and I got a notification that the HGTV Dream House is doing their giveaway now.
No, you did tell me about this. Oh, no, Lydia told me about it, yeah.
No, Miss Lydia. Okay,
Yeah.
So I enter, like, once a year, like, because it's fun, and I do it, and don't judge me. And, so she's like, Mom, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm entering this contest. And she was so just blown away, right, by the idea. Because I don't think we've really done I don't think I've ever done any contest kind of stuff with her. And so a few days later, she's like, Mom, when are you going to find out if you won or not? I'm like, what? And she's like, the Dream House. I'm like, oh, babe.
Starts young, folks.
I'm not going to win the Dream, but maybe I will. You don't know. It comes with a really cool motorhome and
You're not going to win.
beep, beep, touring around.
I feel like that was... Okay, so I want to blow the whistle on Lacey, and I feel like that was one... Like an impromptu
Yeah, it really
one,
was. It really was.
that Lacey bought a Powerball ticket.
But you know what's funny is even though I was doing the whole like sign up for the Dream House with my daughter thing, I also had a really practical conversation with her how we wouldn't be able to keep it because of taxes. And
good
so
job.
we talked about taxes and how it would be out of our like cost of living range to keep the house. And
So the moral of the story is you can sign up for lottery as long as you use it for a homeschooling conversational teaching moment.
oh, is that what it is?
Right?
So does that mean I can get a lotto ticket because
No.
we use
Okay, moving on. I'm going to blow the whistle on Lacey. Not just for
my
lotto
gosh.
tickets. But guys, I'm very excited because here's actually what happened is I had forgot about this story until I found it in my notes. I'm so thankful that I found it in my notes.
How long ago? Tell me first. Give me a hint.
Like
How long ago?
a month or two ago.
Oh, that's not that long.
No. So Lacey
I'm so scared.
was talking. This brings so much joy to my heart because usually I'm the one that will do this, okay, when talking to someone. So having this on record brings so much joy and happiness to me. Lacey was talking with a friend, and the friend was dealing with like financial issues and stuff like that. And so her friend's going through financial issues, and Lacey's consoling, talking. They're laughing, joking back and forth, and Lacey amidst the conversation goes, "Well, at least it's financial problems, not like lost a important body part or something like that."
No, that's not what happened.
Interestingly
I know what you're talking
enough,
about.
yeah. Can I tell the punchline and then you can correct me?
Okay, go ahead.
Is her friend had lost her eye like the year before.
Yeah, I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah. Is that right?
Well, no, I had said,
I was like, did I get the story wrong? I thought that's what it was.
no, that's what she said to me.
Oh.
She said that to me, but then in the course of our conversation, because she meant it.
Yeah.
She meant it was overcomable.
Right.
But in the course of the conversation, I kept accidentally making vision jokes, which you don't realize how many vision jokes there are. Like, I guess we don't see eye to eye, or now
guys, I butchered this whistleblower, but that's funny. Yeah.
You know, like,
oh my word.
There's so many vision jokes, and I kept accidentally making vision like references.
Yeah. So her friend, thank you. So her friend has lost her eye. And yes, you're right. So that's right. You guys were talking about how, having financial issues is not as big of a deal as this. And yes, you kept bringing up, what is it, like metaphors or
yeah, that involved eyes.
That involves seeing and eyes.
Thankfully, she's a nice person and realized I wasn't trying to be mean. Think about it. There's so many, like, to clarify, I mean, keep them coming, right? All the vision
I don't see
jokes.
what you're saying.
What?
I don't see what you're saying.
To clarify?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Oh, I don't see. Oh, I thought you were telling.
See? It's everywhere. Guys, there's so many vision metaphors.
Gosh. Anyway.
Colloquialisms, that's what they're called.
In case you're wondering, she's doing really well. So, hey.
Yep.
I'm not going to bring her down.
I'm not going to bring her down. The last thing that we were wanting to talk about, because it is a new year, you knew me, knew you. New year, new you. That's what it is, right? New year, new me.
Is it a new you?
In one of these podcasts, we've done so many so far, vaguely remember Lacey making veiled references to my weight and needing to go to the gym.
All I said is that your nutritionist giggled a little and said you didn't have to try to gain more weight, right?
Or maintain. Either of those.
It wasn't the battle it used to be.
There you go. Hence the elastic pants that we mentioned a few episodes ago. I have been going to the gym.
You have.
I've been going 5 days a week running.
Yeah.
Intervals for 15 minutes.
For a whole week.
For a whole week.
Sorry.
How's your gym commitments going, Lacey?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Actually
I love the gym.
Job. Yeah. No, you're actually doing really well. She woke up this morning very early.
I did wake up this morning.
Good job.
Yeah.
To go to the gym. Anyways, we wanted to talk about, just bring up the subject of habits and some good and bad things with habits. New year, new you.
Right. And one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because Nathan and I are so different when it comes to building habits.
Diametrically opposed, if you will.
We're so different. My husband, I actually have heaps and heaps of respect for him because he has to do treatments. We've talked about this before. He has to do treatments every day and has to have to do these. Has to have to?
I have to.
Yeah.
I has to have to do them.
He has had to do these treatments since he was born. I mean, since he was diagnosed. So 9 months old, his mom, when he was little, would spend upwards of 8 hours a day doing treatments. And then eventually, as he got older, it transferred to him having to be disciplined as a young child to do these treatments every day. And I'm not doing them. And I mean, it messes up my schedule. I can't imagine what it does to Nathan's schedule having to do them. But because of this forced discipline in his life, he's just an incredibly disciplined person. And so when Nathan decides that he's going to add something to his life, he just does it. Or when he feels like he needs to change something, he just changes it. And you have a lot of my respect for that, honey, the way that is such a... I don't know. It's a discipline you've built that's just really good.
I think part of it is how my brain has developed and has to work. Like that's how it works. Like that's how I work. If I make things, very robotic. No, that's how I have learned to make life work. Now, the downside of living so structured is you're very inflexible. And it almost becomes your schedule, whether it's exercise, you know, a lot of control, a lot of habits, you know, center around exercise. But whatever that habit is for you, or you need, you know, it often becomes this crutch or this thing that, rather than making you feel free, making your brain feel at peace, it actually tends to almost suffocate your life. And so we want to bring that up, in that, yes, I may be disciplined, I may be structured, and my brain feels very comfortable in that structure. You know, the running joke / not joke in our family is that if I had 7 square like meals every week planned out, like they would be the exact same meal. Like, it was so funny. My nutritionist recently asked me, she's like, what would be your, you know, diet? And she's like, you know, maybe keep a food journal. And I'm like, I actually could tell you right now what my food journal would say.
You don't like change.
No, I don't at all.
Like, what he means by 7 square meals, he means like Wednesday's spaghetti day. And well, not spaghetti because I don't like spaghetti, but Wednesday's meatloaf, and Thursday's chicken salad, and forever. Like, forever. For the rest of it,
literally
like, without
forever.
Changing.
My breakfast is oatmeal with cottage cheese. My lunch would be an egg sandwich with lettuce and mayo.
I'm sleeping right now, hearing you.
I'm just saying. I know what my diet is.
And then you have me, who puts the pro in procrastination. I am just
so good. That was good.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I guess I just don't like feeling like I know what's going to happen next all the time. It just makes me feel a little bit bored. And
well, it's more than that. The way you function is kind of like not necessarily looking to the next thing, but you don't want to you feel claustrophobic within schedule. You feel claustrophobic within structure. That makes you feel claustrophobic.
It does. It makes me feel trapped into this endless litany of meatloaf on whatever day I said it was going to be on. You know, when I'm like, I want to live. Let me live.
Speaking of which, we haven't had meatloaf in a long time.
We just had it at your mom's house. The good Midwest
that was like
meal.
3 weeks ago.
I feel like it was. I mean, it's near enough for me for meatloaf. Close enough.
Oh, guys, please respond. If you're a meatloaf lover, please give me some love.
I grew up with meatloaf. We ate it. I mean, Nathan and I are both from the Midwest, so we got that.
Anyways,
Midwest cooking thing going.
So in the book I wrote on love, we talk about habits and why it's such a good thing. And I think more than just the behavior of habit, what we want to talk about is the mindset of habit, and that, your behavior that can be good or bad. We could have good habits, bad habits. But I think oftentimes what happens is we look at a habit, and I'm going to use going to the gym or losing weight, whatever that is for you, that I have to lose weight. I have to lose weight, or I have to go to the gym. I have to go to the gym. And there's no real healthy mindset behind it. A lot of things, what happens is actually out of insecurity, we build our habits. And that's a great way to build a really unhealthy habit, because then it really starts actually stealing from yourself. You start stealing from your relationships when you build a habit based on an insecurity. And I think that's the big thing is especially in Christianity, as believers, we have the Holy Spirit, and He's going to move us towards behavior based on a healthy identity. It's never going to be based out of, I just have to stop doing X, Y, and Z. It's actually going to be based out of moving us towards something. And
I want to interject because that is the thing that actually causes me to build habits. Is it's not enough for me, like mentally, it's not enough for me to be like, this would be good for you. I know it should be, right? Like you and I are just talking now, but I know it should be enough, but it's not. Right. I have to know that that's what the Lord's leading me to, or I feel trapped. But if I can lean back into that knowledge and say, no, this is what the Lord has led me to do because of X, Y, and Z, and I trust Him, then I know He's not going to make me feel trapped. It's actually going to be a joy to me.
Right.
And to use the example you're giving, the gym one is, it's something I actually have been praying, Lord, make this a joy to me. Because I want to do this the rest of my life. I want to be active. I want to not just be someone that goes to the gym. I want to be an active person, and I want to be a healthy person. And part of that is, just coming out of a few years of not being healthy, and the Lord saying, okay, here are some disciplines I want, because I want you to be healthy. And that is what I have for you. I have health for you.
Yeah.
And so it's not just about going to the gym a certain amount of time a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So looking at the new year, new you, what are the things you feel the Holy Spirit has been convincing you of? And I think maybe that's a great shift, a mind shift in and of itself, is oftentimes we look at, well, the Holy Spirit's going to convict me of something. And usually we look at conviction as this has a negative connotation, and it doesn't, but I think it has had a negative connotation, I know for myself. And something I'm looking at in Scripture, and just as I look at how he speaks to me and others, I'm recognizing that maybe when I replace the word convict with convince, same meaning. It has the same meaning, but oftentimes it's easier to start a new habit if I view the Holy Spirit convincing me of something. That could be my identity, that could be his goodness, that could be whatever relational thing, beneficial thing for my relationships. But if I look at it as, no, God is convincing me of this, it's a lot easier, and a lot more maybe of a healthy mindset, and a lot more empowering. God's convincing me of something, rather than, well, I feel convicted about this. I feel convicted about doing morning devotions. I feel convicted about that. Rather than, you know what, God is convincing me that if I have a time set aside every morning to spend with him, to release my anxieties to him, and to receive his truth for the day, I feel like my day is going to go a lot better. Right? It's that convicting, I feel God convicting me of this, versus, you know what, he's convincing me that whatever he is moving me toward is beneficial for me.
Right. It's that calling me to something that will bring me joy. He's calling me to something because he knows me better than I know myself, even though I think I know myself really well. Sometimes I'm not as self-aware as I think I am. And the Lord's like, hey, I know you. I know what you need. And you stand here praying, Lord, do this, do that. And the Lord's like, I know how to get you there. You just need to trust me.
Right.
And this might not be comfortable for you, but you're not going to feel comfortable because obviously you've not done it yet, Right. And so there's that trust level of, okay, I trust that your desire is to bring me joy. Your desire and the end goal, even if it doesn't feel very joyful in the process, that's the end goal. So
that's our encouragement for the new year, new you.
I feel like you signed up to sponsor something.
It's stuck in my brain because it's like
looping.
It is. It really is looping. That robotic. It's like the wheel of, like in Max, the wheel of.
So if you have a company called New Year, New You, we will take your sponsorship.
No, but seriously, if you want us to sponsor you, give us money and we will.
Money. Or lotto tickets.
Anyways, hey, we do talk about habits in our book Unlove, and why it's so important not just to come up with a good idea that you should implement in your life, but the mindset, the belief system behind that thing. So we recommend get our book Unlove, available on Amazon for an amount of money. Or the Kindle version. And guys, here's a secret. Just between me and you and Lacey. Nobody else. We're working on an audiobook.
Yay! Yeah, we've had so many people say, hey, I would love to read it, but I don't read books. Can you make an audio?
Here's the downside of the audiobook is I'm reading it.
That's my downside.
No, it is. For someone who has CF, it's gonna be like every 30 seconds, like a pause, cough, pause. It may not make it.
It's going to be a lot of editing.
It may not make it to submission. We'll see.
Yeah, I know. There is some pretty specific submission rules. And
apparently you're not allowed to cough while you're reading. Anyways. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Hey, have a new year, new you.
Start homeschooling. That's what you should
He'll
do.
create a new you real quick.
That'll create a new everyone. All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.